New York is doing the 7 o'clock clap for our healthcare workers. Be back soon. We're back. I think we've passed the 2 minutes of clapping. I was about to say jumping in again. Okay, getting back on track. Hi everyone, and welcome to Big City B. I'm B. Today I'm going to be doing a review on Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. I know that Little Fires Everywhere just recently premiered on Hulu. The first episode aired March 18th, and Reese Witherspoon is in it, which I know this book was part of her book club, so I'm interested to see how much of the book she's going to take into consideration for her series, or if they're going to be changing a lot. So let's get started with the review. The basics first. So the author again is Celeste Ng. The genre is going to be contemporary fiction. And here is your summary. In Shaker Heights, a placid, progressive suburb of Cleveland, everything is meticulously planned. From the layout of the winding road to the successful lives its residents will go on to lead. No one embodies this spirit more than Elena Richardson, whose guiding principles is playing by the rules. Mia Warren, an enigmatic artist and single mother, arrives in this idyllic bubble with her teenage daughter Pearl and rents a house from the Richardsons. Soon Mia and Pearl become more than just tenants. All 4 Richardson children are drawn to the alluring mother-daughter pair. But Mia carries with her a mysterious past and a disregard for the rules that threatens to upend this carefully ordered community. Alright, there's your summary. So going on to talk a little bit about the characters in the book is centrally focused around, I'll say, 3 families. The first family that we first meet is the Richardson family, which is comprised of Elena Richardson, Mr. Richardson, and then their 4 children, Trip, Lexi, Moody, and Isabel, or Izzy. Then we have the Warren family, which is comprised of Mia Warren and her daughter Pearl. Our third family is going to be centered around Bibi Cho, who works at a Chinese restaurant with Mia Warren. What I liked about this book was the use of photography as a way to unmask the characters and show their true selves. This reminds me a lot of the photographer Philippe Halsman, who would have his subjects jump in the air and then he would snap the picture mid-frame while they were jumping in order to see their carefully put on mask disappear. And I thought this is a lot of what Mia was doing in the book. A lot of her photography centers around showing people's true selves or showing the true situation that's happening, sometimes in abstract ways. Another thing that I really liked is the duplicity of always thinking that the grass is greener on the other side. There's this conflict that arises in the Richardson-Warren family, both between their kids and the mothers, of whose lifestyle is the right lifestyle, and one seems better to the children than the others, whereas the mothers think that one is not as green on the other side as their life that they're currently living. So I thought that was an interesting kind of juggling of the 2 family perspectives. Another thing that I really liked in this book was the undertones of race and privilege and how those influence your situation and how you view the world. The Richardson family is very much grown up in a mostly all-white suburb, whereas Mia and Pearl have kind of been traveling around a lot. They don't usually have a whole lot of money, so they're kind of considered, they're just not as privileged as the Warren family and the general Shaker Heights community. And then we have, of course, Bibi Cho, who is Asian American, and kind of her struggles that she deals with throughout the book on how how important her culture is to her and what disadvantages that she's at, given that she was at one point not able to provide for herself. Another thing that I liked about the book is the question of what makes a mother a mom. Is it your biological mother, or is it the person that you've kind of found or adopted to be your mother? This is kind of seen in two ways throughout the book, both between Bibi Cho and between Izzy Richardson and Mia Warren. Actually, even further into the book, but I will leave out that third example for you to find. Something I didn't like about the book was that we become so close to the Richardson family children and Pearl. After the end of the book, I wanted to know how the Richardson children were going to deal with the whole situation. For a lot of the book, we are seeing it through the perspective of either Moody or Pearl, and I felt like where the book ends, we just don't get to see a resolution from their side, which is maybe what Celeste wanted, but I felt a little cheated that I didn't get to see how the four children, particularly Moody, Lexi, and Trip, dealt with the situation. And I was curious because as the book progressed, we got more connected to each of them. Moody, I would say by far, is the one that we have the most of a connection to out of the Richardson children, but then we slowly become more attached to Lexi and Trip. So I feel if that ending bit of how they were going to deal with the situation had been addressed, it would have been a little bit more of a closure, since we didn't get the same extent of relationship building throughout the book that we did with both Moody and even Izzy. Jumping into a quote. Okay, I realized in my last video that I said jumping into way too much, so I'm gonna be trying to cut that out. Up next, I'm gonna have some quotes from the book for you. First quote is going to be, "Sometimes you need to scorch everything to the ground and start over. After the burning, the soil is richer, and new things can grow." People are like that too. They start over, they find a way. This sort of ties into my first quote with the Starless Sea, that endings are not truly endings, and no matter how bad it gets, it's really just leading you on to the next thing, the next portion of your life, which is going to be better. Almost always, I would say, is going to be better than whatever has caused your land or grass or crops to be burned down. And it's just, I think about optimism and knowing that what's happened to you is fodder for your next step in life. Second quote and last quote. "Most of the time, everyone deserves another chance. We all do things we regret now and then. You just have to carry them with you." I think this is also a nice quote because it's good to be reminded that we all do make mistakes and that we have to take that and internalize it in our own way and be okay with it enough to continue on. And hopefully, if we've done something we regret to another person, that they can see that you've grown and matured, and give you another chance at the relationship. I personally have a hard time with this because I feel, and maybe in some ways this makes me a little bit like Elena Richardson, is that if someone has done me wrong the first time, that's it, they've shown their true colors. And I know people do change, but for me, you have to prove yourself a lot after you have lost my trust to show that you've changed. So this is a good quote for myself to kind of keep that in perspective and to remember that maybe I should give people more than one chance. So one thing that I saw when I was going through the reviews on Goodreads and the questions that people had, I saw that the people who didn't like the book didn't like it for multiple reasons, but the one that stood out to me most was that they felt as though Celeste was leading us towards thinking that Elena Richardson was the bad mom and Mia Warren was the good mom. And I don't think that's the case. I think that she presented two different ways of mothering and parenting and the flaws in both of them. Because while she did show Elena and very much of an overprotective way. She also redeemed it by saying that this was because of her fear of her children's safety versus Mia's parenting style, which is a little bit more relaxed and laid back, versus how she grew up and her circumstances that kind of led her to that, and not and I think Mia knew that not having roots for Pearl was a negative thing for her. Another thing that I felt bad about, I'm realizing this, we're gonna just throw it in anyway, is I felt bad for Moody. I feel in a lot of ways he is neglected in his family as kind of being the middle child syndrome. Trip and Lexi are basically the perfect children for the Richardsons, and then Izzy is known as the black sheep. But I also think Moody is a black sheep, but he just hides it a little bit better than Izzy does. He's obviously a hopeless romantic, and I felt bad that we didn't see any of that kind of relationship fulfillment for him. So it just kind of broke my heart. And I felt a little angry at him because he did that, like, I'm a good guy, why don't girls like me kind of thing, which is really frustrating. But he's a teenager and 15 and angsty, so I'll forgive it, but he better grow out of it. Lastly, the last thing in this review is, would I recommend this book? Yes, I would recommend this book. I thought it was captivating, and the pull between doing things by the book versus doing things a little bit more loosey-goosey and impromptu was very interesting, and it kept my attention throughout the whole book. I also felt like those little tidbits of the differences between privilege and race were intriguing enough to make me want to stay and finish the book. And like I said, I developed relationships with the Richardson children and the Warren family very quickly. Elena took me a little bit longer to get emotionally attached to, just because I felt she was so overpowering. But in the end, I do sympathize with her. She had her own struggles that she was going through. So that's it. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of Little Fires Everywhere. Are you going to be watching the Hulu series? If you are, what do you think of it? Are they changing a lot? Are they not changing a lot? I read a couple interviews with Celeste Ng about what she thought of the series start, so I'm interested to see if that continues or if she won't be as happy with it going forward. I'm assuming that Reese Witherspoon had her input on it, but one can only know for sure. So go ahead and hit that like button if you like this review and you're gonna start reading Little Fires Everywhere, and hit that subscribe button if you want to be notified next time I do another book review or I can leave my apartment. All right, thanks guys. Have a good one.